Thank you for watching this brief video presentation, Risk-Based Flight Review and Wings. I'm Phil Dixon, FAA Safety Team Program Manager from Memphis, Tennessee. Flight reviews are something nearly all of us go through every 2 years, and the General Aviation Joint Steering Committee feel that flight reviews that are based on risk can go a long way towards preventing accidents. Way too often, a pilot has waited until his flight review currency is nearly expired and is trying to find a flight instructor who can fit him or her in before the end of the month. Many times, that flight instructor with time on his or her hands is fairly new. The pilot then tells the instructor how he or she is so busy, and can we just do the minimum of 1 hour of ground and 1 hour of flight just to get through? The instructor is now under pressure to do the review or lose the business. So how effective will that flight review be, do you think? Remember that your signature has value, and with your signature in the logbook of that pilot comes responsibility upon you to assure he or she is as safe as they can be to perform pilot duties. Their next passengers could be family, friends, people that blindly put their confidence in the pilot that he or she is safe, proficient, and qualified to fly with passengers. That puts the onus on you, his or her flight instructor, for this flight review, and the onus is on you for the next 2 years. So do you still want to just do 1 hour of ground and 1 hour of flight? Let's put more effort into our flight reviews to assure that we're not just rolling the dice with this next flight review pilot. You are the instructor, so you set the flight review rules. Basing flight reviews on risk is one way to achieve an effective evaluation and educational experience. So we'll discuss elements of effective flight reviews, and we'll talk about the WINGS program, which is the FAA's pilot proficiency program. Let's start by looking at a helpful booklet available free on FAAsafety.gov. You can download a copy of Conducting an Effective Flight Review by accessing the QR code or URL on the screen. It's written for flight instructors, but it's also excellent for preparing their clients for a great flight review experience. And it features dozens of hyperlinks to useful information for pilots and flight instructors alike. Let's see how we can use this document to prepare for a risk-based flight review. As the name implies, a risk-based flight review addresses risks associated with the familiar missions and flight environments where the pilot normally operates. But it also addresses things the pilot wants to do in the future. Both of these review aspects require a conversation between the flight instructor and pilot, and it requires some advanced planning. That's why it's essential to conduct a pre-review interview to plan what will be covered in the flight review or the initial WINGS flight with the pilot. The appendix of Conducting an Effective Flight Review contains a form to collect aeronautical history. Give a copy of this to your prospective student for him or her to fill out. Providing this information before the review will allow you to develop a review plan to efficiently evaluate the pilot's capabilities in normal operations and to explore flying challenges that they would like to pursue. If, for instance, they fly in a high traffic density operational environment, sometimes spent in a non-towered airport in short field operations will make them more competent and confident when flying in remote areas. Similarly, if they are comfortable away from large cities, a trip to a tower-controlled field in Class B or C airspace will help them to be more comfortable in high-traffic environments and with air traffic control. When discussing these topics, it's also a good practice to set instructor and client expectations for the review. Reviews for pilots who don't fly often or who don't fly to unfamiliar destinations will likely take longer than reviews for pilots who are current and comfortable in all airspace classes. You and your student can discuss flight hazards that are unique to their flight operations, and they can identify the risk that those hazards adversely pose to their flying. This risk assessment will tell you the likelihood that a given risk will negatively impact flight operation and the severity of consequences if it does. Armed with that information, you and your student can plan instructional activities that will mitigate risks to acceptable levels. The Risk-Based Flight Review Action Plan will include a schedule of pilot capabilities to be evaluated and risk reduction mitigation activities to pursue. Successful completion standards for each activity will be agreed to, and any pre-review preparation activities will be identified. Preparation activities might include study of regulations or completion of courses on FAAsafety.gov, planning a flight, weight and balance, or aircraft performance calculations. Flight review pre-flight activities will include a review of pilot and aircraft documentation, pre-review study assignments and activities, and a discussion of aviation rules and procedures. Pre-flight activities will generally end with an aircraft inspection just prior to flight. Flight activities will include the items listed on the screen and any special activities discussed in the pre-review. Post-flight activities should include a thorough debrief. Your student should expect an honest and comprehensive assessment of their performance with suggestions for improvement. This is also an excellent time to develop a proficiency training plan that will not only ensure that they maintain their performance level, but also enable them to attain higher levels of performance and additional capabilities. Wings knowledge and flight activities are available on FAAsafety.gov. Completing the Advanced Wings Flight Review flight activity together with 3 Wings knowledge activities will earn a flight review. In fact, earning any phase of wings satisfies the requirements of 14 CFR 6156. Proficiency training works best if it's not done all at once, but rather spaced out at regular intervals. The Wings Topic of the Quarter program consists of 8 activities pursued over the course of 1 year. Because a full year's proficiency is mapped out for you, it's an excellent way to get started with wings. Each quarter, Wings pilots take an online safety course. All courses are self-paced. Most take no more than an hour or 2, and they can be completed at home. Our online courses build solid decision-making skills that you'll employ on the ground and in the air. Program participants also fly with a flight instructor to complete a Wings flight activity at least once each quarter. To access Wings Topic of the Quarter checklists and other Wings information, just navigate to FAAsafety.gov, then click on the Resources/Library/Wings, or scan the QR code on the screen. Wings is a robust proficiency training program that works for all pilot certification levels and all general aviation aircraft. As such, it can be a little intimidating at first. That's why volunteer Wings pros in your area are available to help you with anything related to wings. Here's how to find your local Wings pros. To find your local Wings pros, just navigate to FAAsafety.gov, hover over the Resources tab, and click on Fast Team Directory. First, select your region and district in the drop-down box. Next, click the Wings Pro box. Then, click on Search. Your Wings Pros will appear in the list below. Here's a partial list of the Wings Pros in the Memphis district. Finally, wings training yields proficiency and peace of mind. There's nothing like the feeling you get when you know you're playing your A game, and in order to do that, you need good coaching. Wings pilots are competent. They fly regularly with Wings CFIs who challenge them to review what they know, explore their new horizons, and to always do their best. Vince Lombardi, the famous football coach, said, "Practice does not make perfect. Only perfect practice makes perfect." For pilots, that means flying with precision, flying on course, on altitude, on speed, all of the time. Wings pilots are confident. They are well aware of their capabilities and their limitations. They are coached to exercise sound pre- and in-flight risk management, so they are rarely surprised by unanticipated conditions. Of course, they must dedicate time and money to their proficiency programs, but it's well worth it for the peace of mind that comes with confidence. And most importantly, Wings pilots and their passengers enjoy the benefits of safe flight operations every time they take to the air. Here are some additional references. Thank you for joining me on this introduction to risk-based flight review and the Wings program. I'm Phil Dixon for the FAST team in Memphis, Tennessee.